What if I told you that some old coins hiding in collections, drawers, or even inherited boxes could be worth thousands, even millions of dollars? Most people overlook them as ordinary pocket change, but collectors know the truth. Certain rare coins from history carry unbelievable value. Today, we're counting down the top 4 most valuable old U.S. coins that have shocked the numismatic world with record-breaking prices. These coins are rare, historic, and in some cases, almost impossible to find. From legendary minting mistakes to ultra-low survival numbers, each one tells a powerful story, and one of them could change your life if you ever find it. Stay with me, because number 1 might be the most valuable of them all. So let's get started. First up. In 1979, the United States was facing a new decade filled with economic uncertainty, rising inflation, energy shortages, and global tension. Yet even during turbulent times, one large and powerful coin continued to quietly circulate through American hands: the Kennedy half-dollar. The 1979 half-dollar with no mint mark, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, may look ordinary at first glance, but it carries a deeper story of transition, changing coin demand, and hidden collector opportunity. Though it contains no silver and was produced in significant numbers, the right example and the right condition can command surprising value. This is the story of the 1979 Kennedy half-dollar, a modern coin that represents both legacy and overlooked potential. The Kennedy half-dollar series began in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The nation mourned deeply, and Congress moved swiftly to honor the fallen president by placing his portrait on the half-dollar. The obverse design, created by Gilroy Roberts, features a strong, left-facing portrait of Kennedy, with the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the year of issue. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, displays the presidential seal, a heraldic eagle with a shield on its chest, clutching arrows in one talon and an olive branch in the other, surrounded by 50 stars. By 1979, this design had been in circulation for 15 years and had become one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. The 1979 half-dollar, with no mint mark, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During this era, Philadelphia coins did not carry a P mint mark for circulation strikes. That means if you examine a 1979 Kennedy half-dollar and do not see a mint mark above the date on the obverse, it was produced in Philadelphia. This detail is important because mint location can influence collector interest, especially when comparing mintage numbers and condition rarity between Philadelphia and Denver issues. In 1979, the Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 68 million half-dollars. While that number suggests the coin is common, the true story lies in how these coins were used, or more accurately, how they were not used. By the late 1970s, half-dollars had largely fallen out of everyday circulation. Businesses rarely used them, vending machines did not accept them, and most Americans preferred quarters and dollar bills. As a result, many 1979 half-dollars were stored in bank vaults, Federal Reserve facilities, or saved in rolls by collectors and speculators. This limited circulation means that uncirculated examples are not extremely rare, but finding superb, high-grade specimens is still a challenge due to storage marks and handling over time. Unlike the original 1964 Kennedy half-dollar, which was composed of 90% silver, and the 1965 to 1970 issues that contained 40% silver, the 1979 half-dollar was struck in copper-nickel clad composition. It consists of a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of copper-nickel alloy. This composition gives the coin its distinct layered edge appearance, a visible copper stripe between the outer metal layers. Because it contains no silver, its value is not based on precious metal content, but rather on condition, eye appeal, and rarity in high grades. In circulated condition, a 1979 no mint mark half-dollar is typically worth its face value of 50 cents. However, in uncirculated condition, values begin to increase modestly. Coins graded MS63 or MS64 may sell for a few dollars. In gem condition, such as MS65, the value may rise higher depending on demand. The real premiums come in ultra-high grades like MS66 and MS67. At these levels, coins must display strong luster, minimal contact marks, sharp strike details, and outstanding eye appeal. Because half dollars were stored in large mint bags, many developed small surface marks from contact with other coins. Truly pristine examples are far less common than the overall mintage suggests. Certified top population coins have been known to sell for hundreds or even over $1,000 in competitive auctions. When examining a 1979 Philadelphia half dollar, collectors pay close attention to strike quality. Strong detail in Kennedy's hair above the ear, clear definition in the jawline, and sharp lettering are essential. On the reverse, crisp detail in the eagle's feathers, shield lines, and star arrangement adds value. Bright cartwheel luster, the reflective shine that rotates under light, is another key factor. Coins with dull surfaces or excessive bag marks will grade lower, while coins with vibrant luster and clean field stand out. Era coins from 1979 also create excitement in the collector community. Double die varieties may show doubling in inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust. Off-center strikes, clip planchets, die cracks, and strike-through errors can significantly increase value. Even small minting mistakes can turn a common coin into a desirable collectible. Because quality control processes in the 1970s were not as advanced as modern systems, a variety of minor errors entered circulation, and today specialists actively search for these pieces. The 1979 Kennedy half dollar also holds importance within the broader context of American currency history. The late 1970s marked a time when inflation was high, and public confidence in coinage was shifting. Paper currency was more dominant, and large coins like the half dollar struggled to maintain relevance in daily transactions. Yet the design continued to symbolize American strength and remembrance. The coin served as a bridge between the silver-rich past of U.S. coinage and the fully clad modern era. Another interesting aspect of the 1979 half dollar is its role in mint sets and collector packaging. Many examples survive today because they were purchased directly from the mint as part of annual uncirculated sets. These coins were often preserved carefully, protecting their surfaces from heavy wear. As a result, collectors today can still find attractive uncirculated pieces. However, finding one that meets strict grading standards for top-tier certification remains challenging. For new collectors, the 1979 no-mint mark half dollar offers an affordable entry into the Kennedy series. It is widely available, inexpensive in lower mint state grades, and carries historical symbolism. For advanced collectors, the challenge lies in locating exceptional specimens with minimal marks and superior luster. Registry set competitors often compete fiercely for the highest graded examples, driving up auction prices for coins at the top of the population reports. Even today, it is possible to find 1979 half dollars in bank rolls, estate collections, or inherited coin jars. Because many people assume modern clad coins hold little value, they are often overlooked. But condition rarity tells a different story. A single high-grade example pulled from storage and professionally graded can yield a surprising premium. Knowledge and careful examination are key. The 1979 Kennedy half dollar with no mint mark is more than just 50 cents. It is a reflection of a nation adjusting to economic change, preserving the memory of President Kennedy, and transitioning fully into the modern clad coinage era. It stands as a reminder that value in coin collecting is not always about silver content or low mintage. Sometimes it is about quality, preservation, and demand within a collector community that appreciates history and detail. Next up, in 1978, America was standing at the edge of a new economic era. Inflation had reshaped everyday spending. Silver had long disappeared from circulating coinage, and large denomination coins were slowly fading from daily use. Yet one powerful piece of American currency continued to carry the image of a fallen president, the Kennedy half dollar. The 1978 half dollar with no mint mark, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, may appear at first glance to be a common modern coin, but behind its copper-nickel surface lies a story of transition, overlook rarity in high grades, and surprising collector opportunity. Though millions were produced, the right example in exceptional condition can be worth far more than 50 cents. This is the deeper story of the 1978 no mint mark Kennedy half dollar. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, just months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. The nation was grieving, and Congress acted swiftly to memorialize him on circulating coinage. The obverse design, created by Gilroy Roberts, presents a strong left-facing portrait of Kennedy, with the word Liberty arching above his head. "In God We Trust" below, and the date beneath. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, features the presidential seal, a heraldic eagle with a shield on its chest, arrows in one talon representing strength and readiness, and an olive branch in the other representing peace. Surrounding the eagle are 50 stars, symbolizing the states. By 1978, this design had already become deeply rooted in American culture, representing remembrance, leadership, and national resilience. The 1978 half-dollar, without a mint mark, was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. During the 1970s, Philadelphia circulation coins did not carry a P mint mark. That means if you examine a 1978 Kennedy half-dollar and see no mint mark above the date on the obverse, it was struck in Philadelphia. This detail is important because mint location plays a role in mintage numbers and collector demand. In 1978, Philadelphia produced approximately 13 million half-dollars for circulation. Compared to earlier years in the series, this is actually a relatively modest number, which adds a layer of interest for collectors studying production trends of the late 1970s. By the late 1970s, half-dollars were rarely seen in everyday transactions. Businesses found them inconvenient, vending machines did not accept them, and most Americans preferred quarters and paper currency. As a result, many 1978 half-dollars were stored in bank vaults or distributed primarily through Federal Reserve channels rather than heavy circulation. This limited commercial use means that many examples survived in decent condition. However, survival does not automatically mean high grade. Coins stored in bulk mint bags often develop contact marks from striking against one another, making flawless examples surprisingly difficult to locate. Unlike the original 1964 Kennedy half-dollar, which was composed of 90% silver, and the 1965 to 1970 issues that contained 40% silver, the 1978 half-dollar was struck in copper-nickel clad composition. It contains a pure copper core layered between outer sheets of copper-nickel alloy. This gives the coin its distinctive layered edge, where a thin copper stripe is visible between the silvery outer layers. Because it contains no silver, its value is not based on melt content but instead on condition, eye appeal, and rarity in superior grades. In circulated condition, a 1978 no mint mark half-dollar is typically worth its face value of 50 cents. However, uncirculated examples begin to carry modest premiums. Coins graded MS-63 or MS-64 may sell for a few dollars. In gem uncirculated condition, such as MS-65, values increase further. The true excitement begins in higher mint state levels like MS-66 and MS-67. At these grades, coins must exhibit sharp strike detail, strong cartwheel luster, minimal surface marks, and outstanding overall eye appeal. Because large coins are more prone to visible bag marks, achieving these top grades is challenging. Certified examples in top population categories have sold for hundreds or even over $1,000 in competitive auctions. When evaluating a 1978 Philadelphia half-dollar, collectors focus on several critical features. On the obverse, strong detail in Kennedy's hair above the ear and along the jawline is essential. The field should display bright, reflective luster that rotates smoothly under light. On the reverse, sharp definition in the eagle's feathers, clear shield lines, and well-defined stars add to desirability. Clean rims and minimal abrasions are especially important because even small marks can significantly reduce grade. Mint errors also add intrigue to the 1978 no mint mark half-dollar. Double die varieties may show visible doubling in inscriptions, such as Liberty or In God We Trust. Off-center strikes, clip planchets, die cracks, and strike-through errors can dramatically increase value depending on severity and eye appeal. Because minting processes in the 1970s were not as technologically refined as modern production, minor inconsistencies occasionally entered circulation. Today, collectors actively search for these unique pieces. The 1978 half-dollar also holds significance within the broader narrative of American currency evolution. The late 1970s marked a period when large coins were gradually becoming less practical in commerce. The half-dollar had once been a workhorse denomination, widely used in casinos, banks, and daily transactions. But by 1978, it was increasingly sidelined. This shift gives the coin a transitional character, representing the closing chapter of widespread half-dollar usage in everyday American life. For beginners, the 1978 no-mint mark half-dollar offers an affordable way to enter the Kennedy series. It is widely available and inexpensive in lower mint state grades. For advanced collectors, it presents the challenge of locating high-grade certified specimens with exceptional surfaces. Registry set participants compete for the finest graded examples, driving demand for coins at the very top of grading population reports. Even today, it is possible to find 1978 half-dollars in old bank rolls, estate sales, inherited collections, or long-stored mint sets. Because many people assume modern clad coins hold little value, they are often overlooked. Yet condition rarity tells a different story. A carefully preserved coin with vibrant luster and minimal contact marks can command a premium far above face value. The 1978 Kennedy half-dollar, with no mint mark, is more than just a modern clad coin. It represents an era of economic change, evolving currency habits, and the enduring legacy of President John F. Kennedy. It may not contain silver, but it carries history. It may not be rare in raw numbers, but in top condition it becomes scarce. And for collectors who understand grading, preservation, and market demand, it offers real opportunity. In the end, the 1978 no-mint mark half-dollar stands as a reminder that value in coin collecting is often hidden in plain sight. It is a coin that bridges past and present, linking the emotional memory of a president to the practical realities of modern coinage. The next time you encounter a 1978 Kennedy half-dollar without a mint mark, pause before dismissing it as ordinary change. Examine its surfaces, check its luster, and consider its condition. Because within that large copper-nickel coin may lie a high-grade treasure waiting to be recognized. Next up, in 1973, America was experiencing change. The country was adjusting to economic uncertainty, inflation was rising, and the silver era of U.S. coinage had officially ended just a few years earlier. Yet one large and powerful coin continued to carry the memory of a fallen president, the Kennedy half-dollar. Among the coins struck that year was the 1973 D half-dollar, produced at the Denver Mint and marked with a small but important D mint mark. At first glance, it may appear to be just another 50-cent coin, but its story reflects a nation in transition, a shift in American currency, and a growing collector market that would later recognize its hidden potential. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, following the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. The American public wanted a lasting tribute, and Congress acted quickly to redesign the half-dollar in his honor. The obverse design, created by Gilroy Roberts, features a strong and dignified left-facing portrait of Kennedy, with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the year of issue. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, displays the presidential seal of the United States, a heraldic eagle with a shield on its chest, arrows in one claw symbolizing strength, and an olive branch in the other symbolizing peace, surrounded by stars representing the states. By 1973, this design had already become iconic, linking American coinage to a powerful moment in history. The 1973 D half-dollar was struck at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small d mint mark located on the obverse, just to the left of Kennedy's neck above the date. That tiny letter identifies its place of origin and plays an important role in determining its value. In 1973, the Denver Mint produced approximately 83 million half-dollars. While this number suggests the coin is common, circulation patterns during the 1970s tell a more interesting story. By this time, half-dollars were no longer widely used in everyday commerce. They were too large for vending machines, and many businesses preferred smaller denominations. As a result, large quantities of half-dollars remained stored in bank vaults or were saved by collectors, often in original rolls. Unlike the 1964 Kennedy half dollar, which was composed of 90% silver, and the 1965 to 1970 issues that contained 40% silver, the 1973 D half dollar was struck in copper-nickel-clad composition. It consists of a pure copper core layered between outer sheets of copper-nickel alloy. This composition change had already taken place due to rising silver prices and hoarding during the 1960s. By 1973, silver was completely eliminated from circulating half dollars. Although this means the 1973 D has no silver melt value, its collectible value depends heavily on condition, strike quality, and rarity in higher grades. In circulated condition, the 1973 D half dollar is generally worth its face value of 50 cents. However, uncirculated examples are far more interesting to collectors. Coins graded MS-63 or MS-64 may sell for several dollars, while those graded MS-65 can bring higher premiums. The real excitement begins in the upper mid-state grades, such as MS-66 and MS-67, where exceptional luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp strike details make the coin stand out. Because half dollars were often stored in bulk bags at the mint, they frequently develop surface marks from contact with other coins. This makes pristine examples relatively scarce compared to the total mintage. High-grade certified specimens have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction when graded at the very top levels. Collectors carefully examine several features when evaluating a 1973 D half dollar. On the obverse, strong detail in Kennedy's hair above the ear and along the jawline is important. The field should display bright cartwheel luster that radiates when tilted under light. On the reverse, sharp definition in the eagle's feathers, shield lines, and stars increases desirability. Clean surfaces free of heavy scratches or bag marks are essential for high-grade status. Even small differences in preservation can dramatically affect a coin's market value. Next up the year was 1974, a time of economic uncertainty in the United States. Inflation was rising, silver had recently been removed from circulating coinage, and Americans were adjusting to a changing financial landscape. Amid this shifting economy, the United States Mint continued producing one of its most iconic large coins, the Kennedy half dollar. The 1974 D half dollar, struck at the Denver Mint, may appear at first glance to be an ordinary 50-cent piece, but behind its bold design lies a story of transition, legacy, and surprising collector interest. While it no longer contained silver like earlier issues, it still carried deep historical meaning and, in the right condition, can be worth far more than its face value. The Kennedy half dollar series began in 1964, shortly after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. The nation was grieving, and Congress moved quickly to honor the fallen president by placing his portrait on the half dollar. The obverse design, created by Gilroy Roberts, features a strong left-facing profile of Kennedy, with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, displays the presidential seal, a heraldic eagle with a shield on its chest, clutching arrows, and an olive branch, with a ring of stars surrounding it. By 1974, this design had already become deeply symbolic to the American public, representing not only a president but a moment in history that shaped a generation. The 1974 D half dollar was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small d, mint mark located on the obverse, just to the left of Kennedy's neck, above the date. That single letter tells collectors where the coin was produced. In 1974, the Denver Mint struck approximately 79 million half dollars. While that number may seem high, many of these coins were never widely circulated. During the 1970s, half dollars were already falling out of favor in daily commerce. Vending machines did not accept them, and banks often stored them in vaults rather than distributing them heavily. As a result, many 1974 D half dollars were saved in rolls and mint sets, preserving them in relatively high grades. Unlike the 1964 Kennedy half dollar, which contained 90% silver, and the 1965 to 1970 issues that contained 40% silver, the 1974 D half dollar was struck in a copper-nickel clad composition. It consists of a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of copper-nickel alloy. This change occurred because rising silver prices in the 1960s forced the U.S. Mint to eliminate silver from circulating coins. By 1974, silver was no longer part of the half-dollar's composition. While this means the coin has no intrinsic silver value, it does not mean it lacks collector value. In fact, condition and rarity within high grades can make certain examples highly desirable. In circulated condition, a 1974 D-half dollar is typically worth its face value of 50 cents. However, uncirculated examples can command higher prices depending on preservation. Coins graded MS-63 or MS-64 may sell for several dollars. In gem uncirculated condition, such as MS-65 or higher, values can climb significantly. The true premiums appear in very high mint state grades like MS-66 or MS-67, where sharp strike quality, minimal contact marks, and strong luster make the coin stand out. Because large coins like half dollars tend to show bag marks easily, finding ultra-high-grade specimens can be challenging. Auction records have shown that top-graded 1974 D-half dollars can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars when certified by major grading services. Collectors also search for special varieties and mint errors in the 1974 D series. Double die obverse varieties may show doubling in the lettering or date. Repunched mint marks, though less common in the 1970s, are also of interest. Off-center strikes, clip planchets, strike-through errors, and die cracks can significantly increase value. Because quality control in the 1970s was not always perfect, error coins from this era remain popular among specialists. Even minor errors can turn an ordinary 50-cent piece into a collectible worth far more than face value. Another factor that adds intrigue to the 1974 D-half dollar is its place in American economic history. The early 1970s marked the end of the silver coin era and the full transition into clad coinage. Inflation was affecting purchasing power, and coin collecting surged as people began hoarding older silver coins. The half dollar, once a commonly used denomination, gradually became less practical in everyday transactions. By the late 1970s, many Americans rarely saw half dollars in circulation. The 1974 D issue sits at the center of this transformation, a large, bold coin representing a time when American currency was evolving. When examining a 1974 D half dollar, collectors look for several key characteristics. Strong strike detail in Kennedy's hair above the ear and along the jawline is important. On the reverse, sharp detail in the eagle's feathers and the shield lines increases desirability. Bright cartwheel luster, the reflective shine that moves across the surface when tilted under light, is another sign of a high-quality specimen. Coins with minimal scratches, clean fields, and crisp rims are especially appealing. Even slight differences in preservation can mean significant differences in market value. Though millions were minted, survival in pristine condition is much lower. Many coins stored in bags at the mint develop contact marks from bumping into each other. This makes flawless examples rare. Modern grading standards are strict, and a coin graded MS-67 must show exceptional eye appeal and nearly perfect surfaces. These are the coins that excite advanced collectors and command premium prices at auction. The 1974 D-half dollar also serves as an affordable entry point into collecting large U.S. coins. For beginners, it offers the chance to own a Kennedy half dollar without paying silver premiums. For advanced collectors, it presents the challenge of locating high-grade or error examples. For historians, it represents a chapter in post-silver American coinage. Its large size, detailed design, and connection to President Kennedy continue to give it emotional and symbolic value. Even today, 1974 D-half dollars can sometimes be found in bank rolls, inherited coin jars, or old collections tucked away for decades. Because many people assume clad coins have no value, they often overlook condition rarity. Yet knowledgeable collectors understand that grade, eye appeal, and certification can transform a simple 50-cent piece into a prized collectible. The 1974 D-half dollar is more than just a coin. It reflects a nation adapting to economic change, preserving the memory of a beloved president and transitioning into a new era of coinage. While it may not contain silver, it contains history. It carries the legacy of John F. Kennedy and the evolving story of American currency. And for those who take the time to examine condition, search for varieties, and understand its context, it can offer both historical appreciation and financial reward.